Okay, it's time to get started with this ottb lesson. So this is Avery's horse, and she is a fellow Flomy and horse boss. And she was at the competition and just really eased her horse through the pattern, just at a trot. And I was like, why don't we get this sucker ready? Like, let's do something with him. He's too good looking and not try just a little bit harder. I said, so tack him up. Let's go to the arena. So as you can see, I'm in my typical barn clothes of leggings and tennis shoes. And the first thing I'm doing, I wouldn't typically want you guys to lunge your horses in the bit and tie down. It's just what we had at the moment. Do you see this horse try to run me over right here? Like, this is what we're starting with. And what Avery was dealing with was kind of the same thing of this horse just running her over, making her feel really, really insecure. And so what I'm telling her is, when we open our fingers at these horses, we look predatory. So like a claw on a bear. So when you open your fingers, make sure that you make it make sense to this horse, and kind of wave him back just a little bit where he starts to respect you. And another trainer calls this a fence post exercise, where you become a fence post and the horse has to back up. You physically, the horse can't move you out of the way. So you can see that I'm being just a little bit, I'm not being harsh, but you can see I'm being very direct with my movements with this horse. And when I feel him lighten up, then I go right on to the next thing. This total session was 14 minutes, top to bottom. So you can see us just really start to communicate really quickly. And then Avery will step in, and she will ride. Now, in previous lessons or on previous posts, you can see that Avery, had a really hard time with this horse, and you can search her name to see her posts on this horse as we go. You can see I'm being very direct. So here I'm going to look at his hip and ask him to go the other way. Then I'm going to open my hand like a claw, move him the other way, and just getting him. I'm not going 5, 6 circles. I'm going 1, 2 circles just to get him really sharp. And see how I just hold my ground, keep pulling, and I just go toward him. I'm going to keep looking at that hind end, wave my hand at him, and then step in here more directly to this side and then smooch him off. There he goes. And I'm going to just keep turning, keep asking him to really use his mind. And it's not harsh, but I am being very direct. You see the instant release of pressure when this horse does something that I want him to do. A lot of you guys are tiptoeing around making your horses do the right thing. And what it's doing is making them unclear. You know, if in your regular life you're a very, well, that's okay kind of person, and you try that with your horses, they're not going to understand your language. You have to remember we're speaking 2 different languages, so we have to be very, very direct with what we're asking. He almost gave me what I wanted here, so I just backed him up a couple of steps, and now I'm asking him to really use his brain. I'm pointing with my right arm. I'm going to go right here and just ask him, hey, if I pulled on the left, would you think about your hind end at all a little bit more? Now here, I'm going to be just giving him a quick poke in the ribs. So just finger pressure. I do not have on acrylic nails. So bear in mind, if you have nails, I'm just poking him. And now I'm not poking him. You see how he's just like responding to that? I'm waiting for him to cross over those back legs. And then I went and got myself a jockey. Now the big thing was in the competition, every time the people would clap, this horse would try to buck Avery off or run off. So that was my big thing, was how can we get this horse to be less distracted? You can see horses in the background, stalls in the background, people are doing things. What Avery did not tell me is that she had a tumor on her brain and was getting operated on 3 days after this video. But we were very careful. You should always be that level of careful every time. Now, I'm asking her to bring this horse's nose in a little bit better. I'm asking her to ride with her hands a little higher because thoroughbreds are bigger. And if we readjust our way of thinking, instead of trying to get them to constantly drop their heads and instead get them to go closer to an object, i.e. a barrel, which is me right now, then we're going to get the end result that we want instead of focusing on trying to get their head down. If you could have head down or get them to run barrels well, which one would you take? I'm going to take run barrels well every single time. So I'm just asking her to put her hands a little bit more forward than normal. And then I'm asking her to work way away from me and then come in close to me and see if she can start to work me like a barrel, where she can just work down tight and then get away from me really big and then come back and work really tight. And I love, love, love that this horse is really trying. Thoroughbreds feel much different because they feel like their rear end is going away from the object every single time. So we start trying to correct that hind end movement instead of just focusing on what brings their body closer to the object. So here I ask her to bring up to a lope, which she said she's never really been very fast on this horse. So I ask her to go a lot faster here in a little while. But here I'm asking her, bring your hands up, look toward the object, bring this horse in here, and let's see if we can get him to follow his nose at a lope, because I know this horse has got so much more in him than what she asked him for at the makeover. Look at that pretty tight turn. Really, really pretty. And then I said, okay, that looked good. So go away from me. Let's let him relax, not be thinking about that so much. Kind of relax your hands, let him relax down. And then I'm going to ask her, I believe it's somewhere in here that I'm going to ask her for a poor man's lead change, which I call it a poor man's lead change because it's not about what you know, it's about your timing. But if it's not right here, I'll make sure and show you in a little while. Let's see how she does. So the main thing with your horse too is having some elasticity in your arms. I would love for her to have just a little bit more bend in her elbows right here, just so that she can allow the bit to not be tugged on or hitting in the mouth all the time. So here we go to the other side. And again, starting out really big, no pressure. And then every time that this horse gets it right, we're going to release the pressure again and go back out away from me. This horse at this point is understanding that it's a little bit harder work to come in close to me. And it's something that he hasn't had to do. So as soon as he gets it right, then we let him go away from me and just take a breather and then come right back in. So we're not applying too much pressure at once. So I'm constantly telling her, get those hands up to meet his head and then come in with your body. Look where you're going. Get him close in there. You see how pretty this turn is becoming? Get in there close, get in there close, get in there close. And then when you feel him, just go ahead and release that pressure. Go to the outside. Let him get away from me for a second. So I want you guys to think about this on every kind of horse, but especially on these OTTBs. I found that this is the easiest. Now we can see that she's in the wrong lead. And then I said, just wait him out for a second. And she did, and he immediately switched right back. And then I said, now just look right at me and start to just move him in 1 foot at a time. So let's get him in here just a little bit tighter, a little bit stronger. Let's ask him for a little bit more. Look at that pretty turn. Nose following the hips. Everything's gorgeous. Everything is really, really pretty. And I said, okay, go away from me. Let's get out of here. So now I'm pretty sure is when I'm going to ask her for the lead changes. So I just have her starting off on the right. And what's key here is if you want to get a change, to not change the cadence of what you're doing, to ask your horse to go in a straight line and then take a hard left or a hard right. But if you slow down, that's typically what's going to really harm the lead change. So do you see how we got that poor man's lead change of just we're going this direction, now we're going this direction. You see every horse has perfect lead changes in the pasture and they never crossfire. So I try to use that same mentality when teaching somebody how to change leads away from home, or when you're not in the pasture and they're not doing it by themselves. Like just show me how this horse would do it in the pasture. It would be this big pretty lope, and then it would just decide, oh, I'm going to go that way now. So I wanted to show her that. And at this point, she's just elated with this horse. So I went to give her a high five and remembered his trigger. So the trigger for him is applause or loud noise, and then he tries to buck her off or bolt. So I asked everyone on the fence to start clapping, which you can't see them, but they are on the fence and they are clapping really loudly. And her face was just like, oh my God, please no. And so I told her to bring him over close to that fence and just start to ride him by that applause. A good idea is download applause or go to youtube.com and just download applause sounds that will ring through your entire arena, bring a Bluetooth speaker to the arena and play that applause, play fireworks, play anything for these horses to start to understand exactly what it is that they need to do. So you see when she slowed down here, how she couldn't get the lead change because she broke down to a trot. So a big thing for you to remember is don't slow down. So I'm just asking her to do these things because I'm having people in the background make noise. So here I told her to speed up and look at what we got. Perfect lead changes. It's really, really funny. And again, I'll continue to call them poor man lead changes because it's just the easiest way to do these. So I think she's going to go for another one right here. Just don't slow down to that trot and just ask him to go that way. And she's looking at me and she's just like, I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. He's being so awesome. So I'm going to get us to the clapping segment for her horse wanting to bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and speed it up. Let's see where we're at now. So that looked really nicely. So I was just asked her to do the horsemanship pattern, which she did beautifully. So here we have people clapping and she's laughing because she's like, please don't do this to me. Oh my gosh. So the big thing is with us clapping here is that she's not going slow. Let me say that again for the people in the back. She is not going slow. If you try to walk up to this object, you're going to make it 25 times worse. Remember, there's more pressure the slower he goes. If we have him thinking about another task, it's less pressure. So as he gets used to this, then we can do it at a trot and a walk. But you should always start backwards. So don't care about leads. We don't care about body position. We don't care about speed. We just care that he's going at a lope and she's on board, and we're going to keep clapping. Now, as you can see, I'm starting to take my sweatshirt off, and there is a reason. I'm going to add a little bit more distraction here in the middle. And so I just tell Avery, I know he's on the wrong lead. I know he's not doing things great. You see Poppy over on the fence. Poppy's waving at him and clapping at him. And this is what we did. And this is only about 3 minutes of footage here. That's all we spent on it. And Avery was very, very tense. You see the leads are all over the place. She's nervous about this because this is where her big insecurity has been. Again, this horse's leads are all over the place. It doesn't matter. So here I tell her, okay, bring him closer to me just like we did in the drill before. Bring him in close. And as he gets close to me, you see him get a lot more distracted. But now Avery's a lot more focused and she trusts him a lot more. I said, just keep bringing him in here close until he turns me as tight as he did before. And then you see him give us a lot worse coming in. And I said, okay, that looks really, really good. You see, still insecure, but Avery understands now she has so many more buttons. She knows if all else fails to speed up, where before it's like, well, if he doesn't do it right at a walk, then we're not going to do it at all. So now I'm going to start clapping and banging around and jumping up and down, whatever it is that I can do with this horse really close to me. I said, high five me. You see him bolt. I said, go ahead and keep him walking. Keep him walking. And so then I just followed her. I said, we're just going to keep high-fiving until he gets a little bit calmer. I said, bring him closer to me. Let's go. So I just broke this down. Instead of a high five, I did my hand at his side, just like I was going to do when I go up to say congrats to her. So now I'm just going to walk him around, broke that piece down. Okay, let's get to the first part. First part you don't like is that. Second part he doesn't like is the sound. So then I started banging on her leg, making a big popping sound, and just kept her walking close to me. Pop, 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 until that was no longer a thing. And then I asked, okay, let's high five again. Let's see if we can get this right. I said, okay, let's keep popping. Now we can high five. Boom. And I said, harder, harder, harder. So that was the lesson. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I hope you got so much out of it. In retrospect, these are the things that I would have taught my OTTB right off the bat instead of doing some of the other things that I did. I told her, I was like, why don't you just go and push forward? I'm going to show you some things on the barrels. And I got her boyfriend to come out. And I said, I want you to just, go turn imaginary barrels. That's the best that we can do right now. And just go ahead and feel your horse and feel him being so much better than he's ever been. But I want you guys to know, this is where I would start. I would start with these lead changes, just ghetto poor man lead changes, just super ghetto. If they don't know anything else, start to get them tracking their front end, their hind end, start feeling really great. She said she had never been this fast through the barrel pattern on this horse. It was really fun to be able to do it at the Thoroughbred Makeover with our imaginary barrels, but she was super excited. I don't know if you noticed or not, but that perfect lead change was pretty amazing. This is how I will be starting my next OTTB, even if it's with imaginary barrels, just to get them tracking. Because how many of you guys thought that barrel pattern was really amazing for a horse that had never loped the barrel pattern really before? So super excited for Avery, super excited for you guys to steal these tools, go use them on your OTTB or your quarter horse. I think it's all very, very essential. Have a great rest of your day, you guys.